Selam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Takon me mua Migena në emisionin ton të radhës Impakt. Do të flasim sot për një figurë shumë të shquar, një figurë e huaj i përket shtetit të Algjerisë, por një figurë që për ne shqiptarët mund të paralelizohet me një figurë tjetër nga Libia, që ne tashmë e kemi parë nëpër filma, është fjala për Omar Mukhtarin, që e njohim ndryshe nga filmi Luani i Shkretëtirës. Këto janë heroi të këtyre shteteve. Ne do të flasim për Abdul Kader, Emir Abdul Kader al Xhezairi, që është heroi i Algjerisë, është personi i cili arriti me zgjuarsinë, trimërinë, guximin e tij të kundërshtoj dhe të rezistoj kundër pushtimit imperialist francez. Është një luftë e zhvilluar, ose më saktë disa betejë të fituara prej tij në saj të rezistencës që popujt musliman bënin kundër pushtuesve kristian në shekullin e 19. Emir Abdul Kader al Xhezairi është lindur në 6 shtator 1808 dhe ka vdekur me 26 maj 1883. Cili është shkaku që ne flasim pikërisht për këtë figurë historike madhështore, mund të themi, është pikërisht prezenca e një prej pasardhësve të tij, i bie brezi i pestë i tij, është një nga nipat e tij, prezent në Shqipëri. Ai ndodhet në Shqipëri për arsyet e tij. Me këtë rast ne përfituam për të na sjellë jo vetëm më mirë dhe më saktë se kush është Abdul Kader al Xhezairi, por edhe për të na treguar mbi një libër që ai ka shkruar për stergjyshin e tij. Biseda jonë do të jetë në anglisht sigurisht. Shpresojmë në mirë kuptimin tuaj për këtë gjë. Pra, sot me neve kemi El-Emir Khaled al Xhezairi. Welcome, Mr. Xhezairi.
Selam alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. We are honored that we have you here in Albania and in our modest TV show. So, first we start introducing who are you?
Okay. Actually, my great-grandfather, El-Emir Abdul Kader, was exiled to Damascus, Syria, and this was in around 1851.
Yeah.
Okay. And my mother, my father were all born there. I'm the 5th generation. And I'm also related to El-Emir from both the mother and the father side. My mother is direct from El-Emir, means my mother, who is called Bara'at, her father Muhammad Saeed, her grandfather Ali, then El-Emir Abdul Kader, then his father Muhyiddin, who is the brother of Bu Talib, and Bu Talib is the father of Al-Hassan, and Al-Hassan is the father of Abdul Aziz, and Abdul Aziz is the father of Khalid, of Nizar, my father, and Nizar, my father, of course, yes.
Yeah, this is your tree.
Yeah, family tree, yes. So I was born in Damascus, and that is due to the exile of Al-Emir. And then after that, my father left Syria when I was 2 years old, and he started moving from one country to one country. He has moved to a lot of countries, Kuwait, Algeria, Libya, Scotland, then Saudi Arabia. And then my mother decided that we should go to a boarding school because every time he's moving, we're changing schools. And then I ended up in UAE.
Okay. You are introduced with your grandfather since you were a kid. Your family keeps on telling you the story, his story. How do you feel being a nephew of this great man.
Great grandson, yes.
Yeah, but he's a great figure. He's a very important person for Algeria. He's your national hero, yeah?
Yes, absolutely. He's the symbol of Algeria. His statue on the horse is in every major city.
Yeah.
And of course, history books are there to talk about him and talk about his heroic stance against the French. Of course, El-Emir Abdul Kader was the youngest of all his brothers, but due to his courage and to his techniques in fighting, when the French invaded Algeria in 1830, he had to join his father for the first and second year from 1830 to 1832. He was always going in battles along with his father. So in 1832, the tribes decided to nominate his father as the prince or emir of the jihad for the country against the French invasion. But since the Muhyiddin, the father of El-Emir Abdul Kader, was old, so he decided that my son El-Emir Abdul Kader will be nominated as the emir of jihad and not me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was young, 20...
He was 24 years old when he took the lead. And what is called today muaskar in the west of Algeria.
Like general, like...
Muaskar is not a general. Muaskar is a state now, existing state, where he has first stopped with his army when he was moving the first time to meet the French army and have a battle. Yeah. On the way, they stopped in this particular place, so it was called al-Asakir, the mother of army. And then afterwards, it has become muaskar.
Okay.
And today, I mean, during the time of Al-Emir, it was the city. Muaskar was the main city of Algeria.
Did he have military education before? Just...
Actually, about his military education, he was, of course, always, he has memorized the Quran at the age of 6. And he knew more than 1,000 hadith at the age of 12. Of course, his father has put him in the best teachings and learnings of how to ride horse and how to use a sword and how to have fighting techniques. And of course, he was also following so many stories of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ and how they led many battles along with the Prophet. So he was very much into this, and he used to be called a legend on the horse. While the horse is running, he used to stand on the horse while it's running at its maximum speed, and he used to put the gun to the target, shoot and get the target while the horse is running and he's standing.
So now in Algeria, we do have historic books, movies, I think, because he's the national hero.
Yes, of course. Basically the stories in Algeria were taken off from the Middle East, from Syria and Lebanon and Egypt, because Algeria continuously was fighting against the French while these other Arabic countries had their independence, so they had the time to write, especially Syria and Lebanon, because El-Emir spent the rest of his life in the Middle East, what is called Bilad al-Sham then.
In Syria today. Why? Why was that? He was due to leave his country. He fought for his country. He was a hero. He made the resistance so many years to the French army.
Well, he fought against the French for 17 years continuously and non-stop, to the extent where he had to tell his wives, he had 3 wives, he had to tell them that now I cannot be a good husband, I will be absent most of the time. So now if you want to go back home, you want your divorce, you can have it, because I cannot be the husband I used to be. So this is how it all started, means he was taking everything seriously to the extent where he had to tell his family, go home.
And they decided to go home?
No, they stayed with him. They decided to bear with the situation. No, they didn't go home.
Yeah.
So after 17 years, I mean, on his last battle, where he had to meet the French army because he had an agreement with the Moroccan Sultan, who was busy in his civil war. He was trying to stop the civil war in his country, so he was busy with that. When El-Emir asked his help, he was unable to provide him with help because he was too busy with the internal problems, internal politics. So this was a letdown for El-Emir. And then secondly, it's the tribes, the Qaba'il, who also promised to be there, and they were not there for some reason. And then finally he found himself facing the huge French army alone with his army. So
how much were the French, and how many were?
Around the army of El-Emir was around 5,000 when the French army was around 35,000. And of course he saw that he's losing the battle, so he has asked for a treaty. And then during the treaty he was negotiating with the French, what do you want? So they said, we want you. So he said, okay, fine, you can have me, but you let my army free, let them go back to their homes, to their tribes, which they did. And he has also requested them to go hijra, means immigration, to migration to Egypt or to Akka, which they have agreed for. And he has said, if they do not agree to my conditions, I will continue the jihad to the end. But he knew that this will end there after 17 years, it will not continue. So for this reason, he was happy that they took him and they let his army free, which allowed his army to again get back together and start once again the move against the French. Then meanwhile, he was taken to France and he was put in prison for around 4 years, although they had the treaty, but the treaty was torn by General Lamoussière, and he told the king that we cannot do what he said. 17 years he has taught us lessons in the battlefield, and we lost, during 17 years, approximately around 280,000 French were killed during the 17-year battles of El-Emir. Mm-hmm. So he said, we cannot allow him to also beat us diplomatically. So we need to put him in prison, and we need to tear out this treaty.
To break the
to break the treaty, exactly. So after 4 years of prison, Napoleon the Third came to the ruling party, and then he apologized to El-Emir, and he said, I'm sorry about what General Lamoussière did, and now we will set you free. Now, Napoleon III did not set him free just like that, but because El-Emir was very popular in France, and he had one party was called the Party of Peace and Humanity and Love. So he, a lot of the French and the royal family were so fond of El-Emir, to the extent that they loved him so much they were listening, only listening. So Napoleon said, please take him out before he overtakes France with his love and passion.
Yeah, he could be a leader of France.
Yeah, obviously he had an impact on the people. People loved the way he talked. They were listening to him, and being a poet, a philosopher, a scholar in Islam, a leader of war, means he had it all. So he was a man of everything, means he had everything in one man.
After that,
he was sent to Damascus because Akka was under the Ottoman rule, so they did not want him to be strong by the Ottomans. And then there he started writing. And of course, at the same time, without the knowledge of the French, he was also giving instructions to the Algerian army, his men, of how to move, what to do, where to go, how to fight France, how to continue fighting France while he was in Damascus. But it was on a low profile, he was not showing it. At the same time, he was also helping the Syrians in fighting the French in Damascus. And of course, the French were not moved in fully, so they wanted to make to create a conflict in order to move in with the army fully. And this conflict was between the Christians and the Muslims, of course, Arab Muslims and Arab Christians, Druze and the Christians. So he has saved the lives of 15,000 Christians, and the Pope in Rome has heard the story, and he was...
This is a special story. In fact, I want you to tell us more about this story, because he was awarded for this act. And we want to know how come he was awarded from Britain, Queen, and from the Pope of Rome. Why and what happened exactly?
Actually, France wanted to enter Damascus with full-fledged army. So they wanted to take over fully. So they created a problem. And this problem was between the Christians and Muslims. So El-Emir has noticed that France is up to something. So he saved the situation by taking the Christians to his side and standing with his men towards the Muslims and saying, if you want to kill the Christians, you have to go through me.
How many Christians was?
15,000.
15,000.
15,000.
How can he protect this 15,000 men, people?
Well, he had his men, he had his followers, and he took most of them to different houses of friends, and also his personal house, and he kept them there. And he said, anybody wants to touch them, I will fight them. So he said, you have to fight me in order to kill these Christians. The Pope of Rome heard the story, so he passed the information to Britain and France. Britain, Queen Victoria heard about it. France, Napoleon III heard about it as well. So he said, there is this noble prince who has saved the lives of these 15,000 Christians in Damascus. So they have sent them delegates with trophies. Of course, from Queen Victoria, there was the sword with rubies, golden sword. And from Napoleon...
This sword now is in the museum, yeah?
In the Army Museum in Algeria, yes. Yeah. What is called there the Maqam al-Shahid.
Yeah, we can see it. And the Pope?
No, it's not the Pope, it's Napoleon the Third. The Pope has transferred the information.
He just evaluated. And the French gave him...
they gave him a shotgun. Mm-hmm. A shotgun covered with gold and rubies, also the handle of the gun. And this was from Napoleon III.
Mm-hmm. Now, let us explain something. What is the similarity with Albania? Because Algeria was under Ottoman Empire, and in that time, French wanted to invade.
Yeah, of course. This before the French invasion by 400 years, the Ottoman Empire was invited to Algeria because this is a Muslim empire, so they were happy to bring the Ottomans to Algeria.
So you consider Ottoman Empire as you invited them to
yes,
be in your country.
They invited them.
This is the difference with our country because we say other things.
Okay. No, we invited them and we wanted them to be there because we felt strong having a Muslim empire in our country.
So, what is the similarity of Algeria, because they were under Ottoman Empire before the French invasion, with Albania? Why they are connected, or where is the connection between the story of Albania and your story?
Okay, the Ottoman presence in Algeria has been declared a province of the Ottoman Sultan since 1520. 1520. And thanks to the Macedonian and Albanian brothers, Khairuddin and Arrouj Barbaros, who had left their countries for privacy in the western region of the Mediterranean. At that time, the southern coasts of the Mediterranean were under the control of the Spanish and the Portuguese.
Yeah.
To their collision with the brothers Barbaros means they had a fight in the sea battle, which the brothers Barbaros have won the battle, yes. And they have taken over the Mediterranean, and the Mediterranean then became under the control of Algeria because the Barbaros brothers were belonging to the Ottomans in Algeria, but originally they are Macedonian and Albanian.
This is interesting, in fact.
Yeah, and the most important, this Sultan Selim sent 2,000 military men armed with an artillery force and offered to those who went to Algeria the volunteers of the Incarchis. So the victories of Khairuddin in Algeria took place. The greatest battle was the conquest of the fortress of Benin in 1529.
So you have, you know that they were Albanians, and you appreciate that thing?
Yes.
When you see Albanians nowadays?
Yes, of course. And this is why when I came here, especially this is my first visit to Albania, I felt like I am at home. There is something there. Means I did not feel like a stranger at all.
Okay. Let me talk about your book. You wrote a book about your grandfather,
Yes.
the Emir.
Yes.
Why you wrote that book? There are so many books written about him.
Okay, actually, I wrote a very small book. I have made it a very short summary on the life of El-Emir. And that is because in 2011, I heard about a town in Iowa state in the United States of America called El Kader. And I found out that this El Kader was a town named after my great-grandfather in 1846 by a lawyer called Timothy Davis. Timothy Davis was very fond of the personality of Al-Emir, and he was following his news, always knowing and curiously wanting to know more about what Al-Emir is doing and where is he going and what is the great things that he's up to. So he had a case along the Turkey River. There was a property. He had clients there for this property, and he won the case for them. When he won the case, his clients told him, we want to give you the privilege or the honor of naming our future town. So he said, Abdul Kader. They said, Abdul Kader, this is very difficult on the American tongue. So being an American lawyer, he Americanized the name and he changed it from Abdul Kader to El Kader. They don't call it El Kader now, they call it El Kader. El Kader.
But they know the story, why?
Yes, of course they know the story.
You have been there?
I have been there in 2015. But the reason behind writing the book, I wanted to convey a message to these people because they loved my great-grandfather. So due to their love towards my great-grandfather, I wanted to give something in return. I didn't know what to do. I said telephone calls will be costly. Letters will take too much time. So what is the best thing to do? Write a book. I've never thought of writing a book in my life. I had never had any intention of writing, but these people forced me to write because of their love towards my great-grandfather. So I wrote the book by explaining to them what is my relation with El-Emir. And of course I said, you have so many things, so much information about El-Emir, but maybe there's two things that may be missing that you do not know, maybe. And that is, El-Emir, first of all, did not bring something new. You loved El-Emir because of his behavior, because of his human behavior, because of the things he has done for his country, because how he treated the prisoners of France, whereas the French, in return, how they treated the prisoners of Algeria. He used to send the French back home with golden coins from 1 to 5, liras, dinars.
Money of the time.
Money, golden. Mm-hmm. Golden coins, 5. Because he doesn't have enough space for them in prison, and he cannot feed them well, so he would rather set them free and send them back home.
Never tortured, never left them without food.
Nothing. This is
what happens usually in this French prison.
They will cut the Algerians to pieces and they will throw to the dogs. It's like this. So
because he was a Muslim.
Yes, because he was a Muslim and he was following the book.
He was respecting human rights, that what we call today human rights.
Yes,
he was respecting before.
Exactly. He has beaten what is called today human rights. He was before he started human rights, before human rights started actually. So I said, first thing, he has not come with something new. He was following the teachings of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is what you loved in El-Emir Abdul Kader personality. So if you have loved this in El-Emir Abdul Kader, then you will adore Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam because he was the teacher of El-Emir Abdul Kader. And secondly, El-Emir Abdul Kader goes back to Al-Hassan, the son of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhum. And this is why he's called Abdul Kader bin Muhyiddin al-Hassani. This is in relation to Al-Hassan, the son of Ali, cousin of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Fatima's husband radiallahu ta'ala anhum. So I said, these two things you may not be knowing. So this is where the man has brought his behavior from.
And what was his ideology? He was a Muslim Sunni or Muslim?
Yes, he was a Muslim Sunni, and also he had a way of doing the reciting, and he had the Qadiriya way. He was following the Qadiriya way.
And what is that?
Of course, it is not what you call today the folkloric way of Sufis by dancing and making funny noises and things like that. No, it's not like that. It was simply just taking your time by reciting the name of Allah, reading Quran, doing adkar, and then being alone doing this qiyam.
Temptation.
Yes, temptations. So he was always in temptations, but away from the eyes of people, only between him and Allah.
And how is he being seen by Arab world? Is he considered a hero?
He is considered one of the latest heroes of the 19th century, a legend of his time. He has established, and he is the founder of present Algeria. He has established the Algerian government by all the means that it requires, and he has put the ministries, he has put the hospital, he has done a lot of things. He has done factories for arms, weapons, and
his relation with the Ottoman Empire during this 7 years?
Yes. He was in relation with the Ottoman Empire, but the Ottoman Empire at his time started collapsing because it was just almost coming to an end. So Ottomans were also too busy trying to get back on their feet in order to make sure that the Ottoman Empire does not collapse. But unfortunately, the time of El-Emir was when the Ottoman Empire was getting just weaker and weaker.
But they consider him a hero.
They consider him a hero, and they have offered him to become commander of the faithful, Emir al-Mu'minin, for most of the Arabic lands. But El-Emir Abdul Kader refused that politely, and he said he does not have time for this. He needs the time to write and make people understand how vicious France is, and help others to understand that they should not allow invasions from any intruders to their country. So he was busy doing all of these writings in order to spread the word to the world.
We have these writings today? Are they arrived to our times?
Yes. And this is why, again, in America, at present, there's an organization called AEP, Abdul Kader Educational Project in the United States, El-Kader Aywa. And they have a yearly celebration for 48 hours where they celebrate and they make sure that the thoughts of Al-Emir is widely spread in America in schools and universities.
And who is leading this project or this organization?
Kathy Gams is the directress.
From
America. She's from.
They are Americans.
Americans.
Not Algerian.
Americans. Kathy Gam is the directress of the organization, and John Kaiser is the founder of the organization, who wrote the book The Commander of the Faithful on El-Emir Abdul Kader.
So, and is he similar, because here in Albania we know Omar Mukhtarit of Libya. And
Yes.
is he similar with him?
Yes, very much similar. I mean, the story is so much alike, but El-Emir Abdul Kader has exceeded to a certain extent where he's written books, he has poems, he's made books on philosophies of different societies, different religions, different colors. He has spoken about all of this. At his time, he has traveled a bit, although it took like from, he started his travel at the age of 14 with his father for Hajj, and then they made a round trip around the Arabic world, and then they came back to Algeria just before the French invasion.
Before he became a leader.
Yes, before he became a leader.
And what about other leaders, actually leaders, said about him, about El-Emir? For example, Gaddafi or Jamal Abdul Nasser. What did they say about his?
Have they ever mentioned El-Emir Abdul Kader? I have no idea. I don't know if they have or not. I know that in Syria he is very well known, and in Algeria, of course, because you see, he was exiled to Syria, he died in Syria, he was buried in Syria, and then after 83 years of death, he was taken out, and he was taken out in full body, transferred to Algeria.
So he didn't return to Algeria when he was alive?
No.
After his exile?
After his death, 83 years later, when Algeria took independence, 4 years after independence, this was in 1966, my grandfather took him back along with the trophies, and they buried him in Algeria, what is called the Al-Alia graveyard in Algiers, the city. And of course, the trophies, the shotgun and the sword were given as a gift for the Algerian public, means it was handed over to the government, and it was put in the Army Museum, which is available today in Maqam al-Shahid.
Mm-hmm. You said us the reason why you wrote the English book about your great-grandma. And what about Arabic book? What was the reason in Arabic?
Okay.
Or is it the same?
The reason for the English book was for the town of Al-Qadir. And basically, I just wanted to draw their attention that if they have loved El-Emir, then they should know that all of his good behavior is coming from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then, of course, I spoke a little about his history. And then I spoke a little about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I said that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, basically, he wanted to save people from hellfire to heaven, Jannah. So this was basically what Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted for all humanity, not just the Arabs, but all the humanity in the world. And then his companions, radiallahu ta'ala anhum, they understood this. So for this reason, they also understood the target of the Prophet. They understood what the Prophet wanted. So for this reason, they left their families, their children, their cities, in order to spread the word La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And then after that, I told a story about one American who was studying in France, and he had an Algerian friend. And then they were always going, dancing, drinking. And then one day, one night, they were just sitting together, and the Algerian wanted to go for restroom. And then he was caught by the American, because after a while he went after him, and he caught him cleaning himself the appropriate way as per the book. of Islam. And he was wondering what was he doing. So he went back to him after the restroom and he said, you please explain to me what was happening in the restroom. So he told him that these are one of the orders of Allah of how to clean ourselves. He said, your Allah went with you specifically into such deep details to tell you how to clean yourself? He said, yes. He said, this Allah of yours deserves to be worshipped. You show me the way to your Allah. So the Algerian friend told him, I will take you to a friend of mine who's an imam, and he will show you better than me. I don't know. I have no idea. But because he has brought one sunnah into his life, it was a reason for an American to think about Islam. So when he met with the Imam, I said very clearly in the book that now the American is about to say the words that will allow him embrace Islam. And I wrote in the Latin letters, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammad Rasulullah. And I explained that this means Allah is the one and the only, so that people will understand what is the meaning. And then I said, he said this, and then he was going back to his Algerian friend and trying to bring him back to the correct line. And of course he said, we have provided you with all the comforts of life. Washing machine, fridge, AC, car, everything. But Allah has provided you with the best thing in life, Islam. But you did not bother to tell us about it. My grandmother and my grandfather died without Islam. Who is to blame? You. On Judgment Day, I will ask Allah to punish you for that. So he went back to America, this American, and first people who received him at airport was his parents. So they saw him with the beard and with the turban and the jubbah. They said, what's this you did to yourself? He says, Alhamdulillah, I'm following Habibi, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But they said, we have Abdullah, Ahmad, Muhammad in our companies. They don't dress like you. Where did you bring this from? He said, unfortunately, what's left of their Islam is their names. So they forgot who they are or where they belong.
Like most of Arabs in these foreign countries.
So he said, finally, please, no matter how much knowledge we have, us Americans, still, if you Arabs stand and follow the footsteps of your ancestors, you will help bring people back to this light of Islam. And then at the end I said, if El-Emir Abdul Kader, I said to the town of Al-Qadir, I said, if El-Emir Abdul Kader saw what I saw, he would have done what I'm about to do, or maybe even more. I said, oh Al-Qadir people, what is coming from the heart should reach the heart. I request you, please embrace Islam. This was the English book story. Now coming to the Arabic book story. Arabic book story, actually, because I was in Algeria during the book fair on several occasions, several years in a row, like 2013, 2014, 2015. So I saw our youth are negligent. They don't know much about the symbol of Algeria, El-Emir Abdul Kader. So I was very unhappy. They say, was he a friend of France? Was he a traitor? Was he this? Was he that? Etc. So I said, I must write a book. So the Arabic book was completely different to the English book. The Arabic book is a short summary to waken up.
The Arab word. The Arab word or Arab
No,
Arabs?
to waken up the Algerian youth. I did not say the Arab
Only
world.
Algerian.
Yeah, my concern is Algerian. Now the Arab world, hopefully, inshallah, would be another book.
But I feel very honored having you here in our
Jazakallah
TV
khair.
program.
Thank you. The honor is mine. Thank you. Jazakallah khair.
I feel very sorry that we know Algerians from immigrants in France today, nowadays, and they have such a great hero and leader. And I'm very sorry that no one from Algerian people is at that level today. And I think it's very easy. Just study his strategy, what he did, and why he was so wise man and such a great man. Because of his faith, because of his Islam. We said that he protected human rights before human rights exist in the world.
Yes, absolutely.
And that was only because of his religion and because he was a very sincere man.
Yes, very sincere, very faithful. Yes.
And all the world honored him. British, Pope,
even
and
America.
And Americans.
They consider him George Washington, Algeria. And he was also given 2 pistols as a gift from ex-president, not George Washington.
Anyway, you have a figure, a person in the same measure as George Washington, and Algerians, they don't feel that proud, or they don't have that dignity that they should have.
They do, but you see, always the enemy is always there, standing right at your door to tell you, you think he's a hero? You're mistaken. He's not a hero.
He's a traitor.
He's a traitor. He's a friend of ours. He's an
agent.
Agent, Masonist, so many different things, etc.,
And
etc.
they start doubting.
And who was yesterday your enemy, today is telling you your history. This is the biggest mistake.
Yeah, but they can read their own history and they can write their own history if they want.
Yeah, if they want. Inshallah, they will
be
do
Algerian,
it.
not French.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for being here with
pleasure.
us tonight.
My pleasure. Jazakallah.
Shkohemi në emisionet e tjera, ju falenderojmë për vëmendjen. Bashkë me u pafshim. Selam aleikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.